Hey everyone, welcome back. So before we get to another week of gains, luckily, I thought I'd add a little more information on why I want to retire by 40, right? So, first of all, retirement, I think retirement to people mean different things, right? So if I ask person A, they'll say it's one thing, person B, another thing. For me, I do not want to be tied down to a job that I don't necessarily like going to every single day, right? I don't want a job that I don't want anything that I do past 40 or around 40 to be a chore. I want it to be either fun, exciting, or if it's not fun and exciting, challenging, right? Like there has to be something that makes me interested in what I'm doing. Now, so far in the job I have, it's not challenging, right? So I'm a software engineer, and for the most part, if there's something new, if there is something new, and I am challenged, for the most part, I learn it, apply it, and it becomes easy within a week, right? There's nothing that I've ran into so far that has been really challenging or really interesting or that makes me excited, you know? So I definitely want to change that by the time I'm 40. Another thing is since I am a software engineer, I know that's not sustainable. So for me, when what I mean by retirement is doing stuff that is might not even be in the field of software engineering. I don't know. See, right now I don't know. It depends on how I feel when I'm around 40 because my health could be really bad sitting in a chair 8+ hours a day, right? Of course, there's ways to medicate that now, but I don't know what the future holds. So for me, retirement just means freedom. Some people might call it financial independence, but for me, to be honest, I mean, I don't see myself not working when I'm quote unquote retired until I'm forced to not work anymore because there's always something to do that makes money. You know, like your hobbies could eventually lead to something that makes money. So eventually you will find even if you're just doing random tasks that you like doing, it might lead to an avenue of revenue. Um, well, that's short spiel on that. Another thing too is that the reason I'm really been adamant about um, saving money and just being more fiscally responsible, right? Is so there were two big influences on me on money, in that I have right now that I always think about. The first one was when I was working a job I didn't necessarily hate or love. You know, it was just kind of I was apathetic to it. It was a retail job. One of my managers or supervisors, I really don't remember. I would ask her a lot of questions. Like I was interested because I when I first applied to the job, I didn't want to work there, but I was kind of forced to because you kind of have to um, support yourself, right? Anywho, so I was asking her, I was like, hey, because she was around either mid 40s or between 40 and 60, right? I don't know. I was asking her, I was like, hey, so like okay, so a little background, I guess, because the story wouldn't make sense without a little background. Um, I was kind of like disheartened, right? Because I got rejected. I was going to a community college, but then I got rejected from a university. So I was a little disheartened. But so I was like, man, I had some interviews under my belts, right? So again, software engineer, had some interviews for some companies in my area, and they were actually coming to me, right? So I was confident. I was like, hey man, so my resume is doing good, right? Like I'm doing good things that people are in that are looking for candidates look at my resume and they're like, hey, this guy's pretty cool. But since I didn't have the degree, a bachelor's in computer science, they just didn't want to hire me. Like they would end the interview basically right then and there. And for the most part, these companies don't have any. There's internships, right? There's apprenticeships, all this stuff. They didn't have that. I was like, dude, even if it's not paid, I would like to learn more because internships eventually do lead to a full-time position in whatever company you intern for. Yeah, just no luck. So I was disheartened there. I was disheartened that I wasn't getting to a school I wanted, a university that I wanted to get to. So, and then I started working this job, right? A retail job. So everything was just like looking bad for me. And I was just like, man, this sucks. But I was thinking, I was like, I don't spend a lot of money, right? I'm not the type of person that spends a lot of cash. So if I continue working at this retail position and eventually get like to be a manager or whatever, even though it's a sad, pathetic life, no offense, I just hate retail. I really do. So it's not my cup of tea. But if I continue and make like $40,000 a year eventually, that's enough for me. I'll get by. I don't. I'm not a lavish kind of guy. So I was asking the manager. I was like, hey, so I'm between. I have these two options, right? Do I keep going to the community college to get my GPA up and transfer, or um, do I just stay here? And she was just like, no, do you do not want to get to the age I am and continue to where you were basically for years, and wonder how you're gonna get by. And then I told her, I was like, well, I don't need a lot of money, right? So I I just need, food in a place to live, which, I mean, if you find it in a cheap house, it's not that bad. But she was in saying no, because again, when you're my age, it gets tough with like expenses, like medication, all that stuff, and you do not want to wonder if you even have enough money to cover yourself for that week. And that just got to me, right? So eventually graduated, uh, it got my GPA up, transferred, graduated with a really good GPA. I learned my lesson, and then uh, got a job, right? So ever since I got this job, I've been hard stuck on trying not to spend too much money, because I don't know if a lot of people know this. There's this thing called lifestyle creep, right? Where you are spending no money because you have no money, but then you get money and you spend more money. Essentially, like that's just a dumbed down version. Your expenses grow proportionally to how much money you make at that time. So that's how a lot of people don't actually become financially independent or even financially stable, because if they get a promotion or if they get a new job that pays more, they just wind up spending more, right? Anyway, so that was one side of it, right? Now the other side is when I started being a software when I started my position as a software engineer at the current company that I'm working for. There was this lady or woman, and she's between 30 and 40, so she was younger than the other person. And she would see that I was very meticulous about my spending, because I would talk to another engineer that worked there, and we would basically I mean, we would talk about like Robinhood and just investing and stuff. And it would be apparent, right, that I would not spend a lot of money and invest in things, right? So she told me, she was like, why are you pinching and pinching why are you being so frugal now and want to save all your money essentially until you're old and retired and all this stuff. And I was like, because, well, I, it's just better to do that, because I mean, the thing is too, I live cheaply for the most part, but I also don't live too cheaply. Like I don't really, I'm not that meticulous, right? Like if the light is on, the light is on, right? It's only a couple cents. The thing is, though, I don't spend money on stupid stuff. That's where I draw the line. I cannot, if I like a car, right? If a sports car is a waste of money to me, it is just for your ego, right? That's a stupid purchase for me. Anyway, so her rationale was that when you're older, you won't have you might have the money, sure, but you won't have the physical capacity, I guess, to enjoy the things you like. So she was like, yeah, okay, you're 40, 50, but you have diabetes, you have low range in motion, you're old, right? So what the heck are you going to do with your money? And I was thinking, like, okay, that's a good counterpoint, I guess. But the thing is, like I said, I'm not that meticulous. I am doing things, and I would advise people to not be too meticulous with their money. I do go on vacations, right? I do buy myself certain things that I like video games, right? If I want to buy a video game, I buy it, but I don't buy too many video games. I think I buy like two every year, right? So $120 for a lot of hours of enjoyment. Uh, I take usually 2 to 3 vacations a year. You know, uh, it's just I don't spend my money on stupid things like cars and coffee at Starbucks. All these stupid stuff that adds up, and it doesn't necessarily like you're either all these things that I consider stupid are either uh, status symbols, or it's not even things that people enjoy necessarily, but it's things that they think they should enjoy, right? Like an expensive car drives just as well as a not so expensive car, but you are getting it because of the brand, but not even necessarily just because of you. You want to show off to other people, right? There's always a a a pleasing other people factor in there, you know, like where it's you're not necessarily doing it for yourself, you're doing it for other people. Now, um, I don't know what side you guys would fall under, but I would say a happy medium between both of them, right, is probably the best. You should be saving for retirement so you don't get blindsided with expenses and retire early because who likes bosses, right? No one likes being told what to do. I don't. Anyways, that was enough of this. Let's get into this week. So, for the most part, you will see that this week has been really it was really rocky. So in the end for Robinhood at least I was up $32, right? But I was doing since I'm primarily focused on tech stocks, like Apple, C Limited, Amazon, TSM, all that stuff, right? So I was buying stuff that was going down because for the most part this week all the tech stocks were going down. The term for this is cost average down, right? You want to buy when it's going down to get your average of the shares that you do hold down as well. So it'll be easier when the stock rises. So as you can see here, I was buying. What was I buying? I was buying primarily Apple, Amazon, and C stock when it was going down, and I did sell most of it actually, except Amazon, because it was going down again. So I'm gonna restart the cost average down for Apple and C, and Amazon if it keeps going down. Anyway, so as it was going down, I was buying, right. So the downtrend, as you can see, is it's not it doesn't just sharply go down. It it kind of goes down, goes up, goes up, goes down, down, up, down, down. But when you do uh, cost average buying, right? You can see that it's the gains are sharper because you're essentially you have more stock, but also the average price is lower. So it's instead of like when let's say you buy a stock, right, when it's like $300, and then you buy it when it dips down to 290. So now the average, let's say you buy it evenly, is now like 295, and then so it just keeps getting lower, right? It's like 295, 290, 280. So now you have a shitload of stock here at this point at the 280 mark. So now when it goes up, you make a lot of profit in a really short amount of time. And and the thing about this is it's pretty good, right? For the most part, I made, like, if I would have sold everything right here, I would have made $169 that week. The thing is, though, you don't want to keep continuously just buying and selling, because you don't know when the peak is the peak, the valley is the valley, right? So I sold some. I sold primarily Apple and C because they were um, going down, and I do see them kind of going between a couple price points uh, in the next couple weeks. So I'm gonna keep doing that for this because like for the most part, C Limited, I don't think it'll get down below 120, and that would be my sweet spot personally, because I can stand to gain $26 per share if I can just kind of play that game. Yeah. So, anyways, that's more technical analysis. It's wishy washy, but you can kind of play with stocks, right? You can get their some people call it their personality, right? The personality of the stock, and kind of make your plays that way. Besides Robinhood, we have more gains. So overall this week, between all these accounts, besides this one, which is new, I made $399, right? Which is way above my weekly gain target, so that's good. That's always good to see, right? It gives you more wiggle room, so in case that you have some bad days where you lose some money, you I mean, you're good, right? You have like money in the bank, basically. You're using the house's money to you're giving back the house their money, essentially. So all the two listeners,
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
little thing might notice that this new stock here, right? I added it. I was gonna add it once it got to the $2,000 threshold, but to be honest, $1,800 is good. It's a specific account that holds shares of the company I work for, so I don't plan on, I plan on holding these as long as possible. They do pay dividends, so if there's gonna be like if this one will have like random spikes and dips, right? And I don't plan on selling it. So for the most part, I just ignore this account. The only thing that it's contributing to right now is my total, really. It's and of course the weekly gain, if there is any. It's just there. It's for me to kind of see the progress, I guess. Anyway, so I made like about $30 in my Robinhood account, about $100 in my IRA savings, and I don't know, about $130 in my 401k. So it's a good week. Good week. This week was pretty bad for tech, and that's usually what I invest in here, in these two accounts. So hopefully next week we can get to like $600 gain. Yeah, probably not. Anyways, that's it. See ya.